Today, we're going over the basic care and setup of a California kingsnake. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. My name is Sebastian from Myimal, and today we're going to be talking about how to take care of and how to set up a proper California kingsnake terrarium. So let's get into it. So first off, you're going to need a terrarium big enough for whatever size kingsnake you have. So if you have a baby kingsnake, then a 10-gallon tank would be perfect for it until it is about 1 year old. And then once it becomes 1 year old, at that size, you're going to want a cage that is about the size of a 20-gallon long. And then once they reach adult size, you need to get a terrarium that's a minimum of 36 inches by 18 inches. And for today, we're setting up a 24-inch by 18-inch by 12-inch exoteric terrarium, which is perfect for any small to medium-sized kingsnakes. So let's get started. So next, you're going to need the substrate, and there's a few options you could go with. You can either use forest floor, aspen bedding, or repti bark, but today I'm going to be going with this aspen snake bedding. It's super easy to clean. I find it works perfectly, so we're going to go with that one. And I'm just going to pop the top, and we're going to start pouring it in there. So you want to give it a decent amount because your kingsnake is probably going to be burying inside, burrowing under all the aspen bedding or whatever bedding you'd be using. So I would say give it like a good inch or two at least of bedding throughout the whole cage. Just to make sure that they're happy. Just like that. Get it all in there, and once it's in there, you really just gotta like spot clean it whenever you would see poop laying around. But to clean out the entire thing, you only have to do that once a month. Yeah, once a month, just take everything out, clean it all out, change the substrate, disinfect the cage, and it should be perfect just like that. So now you are going to have to provide a heating source for your kingsnake since they are from the west coast of the United States. And they need to also thermoregulate properly. So you're going to want to keep one side at 90 degrees, keep a hot spot there that is 90 degrees so that they can always go there to stay warm. But then you also want to keep a cool side where it's about 75 to 80 degrees just so they can cool off if they want to, and they're just able to pick whatever temperatures they want. And then at nighttime, you could drop it down to about the 70s, and they should be perfectly fine with that. Now, to actually heat up your pet snake, you have two options. You can either use a heat pad like this from ZoomEd that sticks to the bottom of the terrarium and heats the terrarium 24/7, or you can use a heat bulb like this, and the wattage would depend on the cage and where you are, and which we will get into in the video. But I would recommend not to use heat rocks because those can burn your snake. So I would definitely make sure you would either use a heat pad or a heating bulb. So the heat pad could actually be a good idea to pair with the heat bulb depending on where you live, like I was saying, because the heat pad does provide 24-hour heat. So during the night, it would also be heating up the cage, and then during the day, you would just have the bulb on for the heat spot. And as I was saying, depending on where you live, so for example, I'm in Jersey, and during this time of year, it's not going to get below 70 to 75 degrees. So I would just use the heat bulb to keep the hot side at 90 degrees. And then at nighttime, the temperature should be perfect for the kingsnake, so you wouldn't really have to worry about that. So when you're going to be choosing your heat bulb, you're going to want to make sure you get the right size because that will depend on the size of the cage also. So if you have a 10-gallon tank with a baby kingsnake inside, you wouldn't want to use a 100-watt heat bulb because the whole terrarium is just going to be really hot. It's going to be 90 degrees plus in the entire cage, and you don't want that because then your kingsnake can't thermoregulate. So for example, for this size cage, I would use during the summer now, I would use just one of these 50-watt bulbs to keep just the hot spot warm and at 90 degrees. and you could use a light fixture like this to Fluker's Deluxe clamp lamp. And you also want to make sure that your fixture is rated for the bulb size that you're going to be using. So these are actually made for 75 watts, and since the bulb I'm going to be using is 50 watts, you should have no problem with that, and we should be good to go with that. So just to make sure that your temperatures are always correct, you definitely want to get some thermometers. So you can either choose one of these, just like a stick-on thermometer from ZoomEd, and you just open it up, stick it to the glass of your terrarium, and it will tell you the temperature. But I would recommend going a little bit further and getting one of these ZoomEd thermometers. Now these come with these sensors that you could put in the exact location where you want to check the temperature. So you would put it underneath the heat bulb or on top of the heat pad, and it will tell you the exact temperature of that spot. So these are definitely very handy, and I will show you how to actually install them and get them going once we are actually in there and setting up the rest of the cage. And one other thing is, people usually ask if snakes need UVB, and they really don't, but you can add a UVB light on top just so your snake has a day and night schedule in case they're in a room where there are no windows or they can't be next to a window. So a UVB light would definitely be a nice plus, but it's not necessary. Now, your king snake does need water, so you definitely want to make sure that they have a water bowl in the cage. So we're going to use one of these corner bowls, and we're just going to add it to the corner right here, just like that. And snakes will usually poop in their water, so just make sure whenever that happens you clean it out. And after the water bowl, as long as they have fresh water, the humidity that a king snake needs isn't anything crazy. You really just have to mist them once or twice a week and just make sure that they get enough water when they're in shed so that they can easily shed their skin. So just spray them when they're in shed, spray them once or twice a week on average normally, and they should be fine. Okay, so this part is really important. You want to make sure that your king snake has hiding places. So you want to make sure that you have at least 2 hiding places, at least one on the hot side, on top of the heat pad underneath the heat bulb, whichever one you're using, or both, and then another one on the cold side, just so if it gets cold, then you can just crawl underneath the other hiding spot and stay cool there. And then next after this, I'm going to go over a few decorations, and I'll give you a close-up on how the tank is looking right now. Okay, so here is a close-up of what we have so far. So here is our hiding spot for the hot side, and here's the hiding spot for the cold side. And then we have the corner water bowl, and this is basically as basic as it can possibly get, and your king snake would do fine in this. But if you do want to add some decorations, you could add some plants around the cage. Now, this will work pretty good actually for a small king snake, because they will use these fake terrarium plants as hiding spots as well, which is always great for snakes because they do stress very heavily if they don't have hiding spots. So for a baby king snake, so a juvenile king snake, these terrarium plants would be great for hiding spots. But for adults, it's really just decoration. The adults will just hide in the spots and burrow underneath the substrate. And you could also add a branch too if you want to be extra. Although baby king snakes will also crawl all over that in this type of cage. And that's basically all we're going to do for decorations now. So now that our decorations are done, we can add the thermometer. So to turn it on, you just click the power button there, and you could set to either Fahrenheit or Celsius. And then you just take the suction cup and you just stick it to where you will be able to see the temperature. And then there's 2 sensors on this specific one. So this one is for humidity, while this one is for heat. So you just want to put it wherever you would like to know where the temperature is. So if you want to know what the temperature inside of the hide is here, you can just put it right underneath it, just like that, and you will know here what the temperature is in there. So that works perfectly just like that. And now we're going to go into what to feed your king snake. Okay, so when it comes to feeding, king snakes will eat mice and rats, but they do naturally eat snakes. So you wouldn't want to keep two king snakes together unless you're planning on breeding them. So just a heads up, don't keep two snakes together, and mice and rats is all you're going to end up needing. So you do want to feed your snake appropriately sized rodents, but only once or twice a week. And make sure 24 hours after they ate, you're not handling them so they could properly digest the food that they ate. And also when they're in shed, they're most likely not going to want to eat. So don't worry about that. It's completely normal. And just wait until they shed their skin, and they should start feeding normally right after. And final thing you should know about is king snake temperament. So king snakes are popular pets. They are friendly snakes. They rarely bite. So they do make good pets. And with normal handling, daily handling, as much as you can handle them, they will calm down completely and learn to trust you and to not fear you. And the only thing I would say is don't touch their head unless they're completely comfortable with you. And when you first get your king snake, wait at least a day or two before you actually start handling them normally. But after that, you can handle them as much as you want for the most part, and they should be doing great after that. But all in all, king snakes do make good pets and are easy to take care of. So just follow these tips and steps, and your king snake will do perfectly fine. And that's everything. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video and took something away from it. And please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.